With so many cars nowadays coming with CarPlay, I've noticed there's a lot of people using it wrong. Aside from being able to play your music, set custom waypoints, your destination, it can actually do much more than just that. So let me show you how you can personalize it to your own personal preference, settings I highly recommend changing, and how to properly let your passengers become the DJ without having to disconnect your device. Let's begin. So here we are in Apple CarPlay, and depending on the vehicle you have, the most common layout is this one, but some vehicles with a tall screen may be taller, wider, but regardless, it's always the same concept because right here will be your most recently open apps right here for CarPlay, your LTE reception, time, as well as your home page, which by long holding this will summon Siri, of course, or you could just verbally request Siri to pop up or press the voice assistant button. If you long hold, this will also activate your Siri function, and a single tap on that will activate the vehicle voice assistant function. But let's start off with the customization, as there's a couple of settings you can do to really personalize into your own personal preference. So if we go into settings and then go into wallpaper, right here in the wallpaper tab, a lot of people forget this, but there's a lot of different amazing wallpaper to choose from. But if you like to keep it simple, if you have an all black interior, you may want to consider default black. But if you have like a red interior, you want to make a match, you can always select this one as well. There's a bunch of different variety of different ones to choose from. Of course, all personal preference, and yes, it does support light and dark mode. I'm gonna keep it at this one just for this video. But there's even more things you can do, because in the appearance tab, if you like dark mode, automatically shift from day to dark mode, you go just set it at automatic and just forget it, or you can select always dark mode and you'll get the always dark mode theme right here for your CarPlay. And maps, usually by default, it will also transition throughout the day was between light and dark mode, but I personally prefer leaving that also on, so we have a dark mode in car maps. Still in the settings, if you're like me, you're a user of the Apple Watch, you know, whenever you set like a destination and you get that feedback every time when you're approaching a turn on the Apple Watch, sometimes this is useful and sometimes this can be a headache. If you like to disable this function, it's really straightforward, as all you need to do is, you will need to go on your phone and you're gonna need to launch the Watch app. And from here, scroll all the way down to Maps and then turn alerts, disabled driving with CarPlay. And now your turn-by-turn directions will no longer bug you on your Apple Watch. Now, if you're a user of many different apps like I am, you know, all these apps, you want to rearrange them, put your personal favorites to the front row instead of back here, because if you notice, by long holding, it doesn't do anything, which Apple allows us to do, but you can rearrange this. To perform this, you are going to need to go on your iPhone and go into your device settings and go into General, go in CarPlay and select the vehicle. In our case, we have a Ford Mustang. And here's where you go into not only remove some of these apps you don't like, but just long hold on the side right here. You can click and drag it to rearrange it to your liking. So that's how you could organize it to your personal preference. Now, hopping back into settings, in driving focus, if you like your drive focus stats to automatically engage as soon as your CarPlay connects, you could just enable activate with CarPlay. So once you start driving, your friends who are trying to call you or text you will get a notification that you are driving, and you're basically in do not disturb mode at this point, and will automatically disengage as soon as you leave the vehicle and walk away. So this is where you go in and disable that. And announce messages, you could actually allow Siri to announce newly read message off the display. So once you receive it, Siri will actually read out loud your message. Personal preference, I like to keep that off. Siri suggestion, so if you like to automatically allow Siri to reply to a text message, you can enable it right here, or you can cancel it verbally. But in here where it says show apps behind Siri, this is a new setting to demonstrate how this looks like if I actually request Siri to text somebody, like text Elizabeth.
What do you want to say to Elizabeth?
Notice how the background is still visible. Now if I disable this, text Elizabeth.
What do you want to say to Elizabeth?
The behind apps were all blurred out. So depending on your personal preference, you can enable that or disable that. I'm perfectly fine having apps behind Siri. Now if we go back and the show album artwork, this is very similar as well. So right now I have it enabled. So whenever you're listening to music, your album artwork will show right there. If we go back and disable this and relaunch that app, it's gone. It still is in the background, but it's extremely blurred. So depending on the vehicle you're using, if you have like a large display, you may want to keep that on, but if you have a small display, you may want to turn that off if you want to see the text of the album that you're listening to, if that makes sense. And then lastly, depending on the type of car you're using, you may see these two arrow icons right here because this allows me to multitask with my vehicle. So if you want to make this into a bigger screen as an example, definitely make your album artwork fit in. Just tap those arrows right there, and now this is how your CarPlay unit will look like. Really taking maximum real estate space for your vehicle. Now let's just step out of here and actually go more in depth in the maps. So of course you have your bookmarks right here that you can see. Of course these are the same bookmarks that you'll make on your phone to have them right here on your favorites. So if you don't know how to do this, let's say for example, let me launch my phone real quick. Let's say we want to make a bookmark. Here, I'll give you an example how it's like. Reception here isn't really the greatest, so bear with me. All right, I'm gonna bookmark Ashley. So I'm gonna tap on Ashley. Just tap on the add favorites, and now you're good. And now if we actually tap once, we should be able to see Ashley furniture right here. There it is. And if you like to rearrange them still on your phone, just slide up, tap more, tap edit, and just rearrange it to your own personal preference. That's how you can move it all around, and it should update in real time. There you go. Now real quick, this is not a sponsored video, but if you can kindly hit that like button, that would be truly amazing, as that is a great way for you to train the YouTube algorithm to work for you and continue recommending videos that you want to see, not what the algorithm wants to recommend. Let's get back to it. Now when setting directions, you can either use Siri, or you can actually search with not only dictation, but you could use an actual keyboard that your passengers could use, or yourself if you're parked. Over here as well, you can find parking garage, registers, register parking, restaurants, and etc. This is pretty much self-explanatory. If there's an incident, if you see like a speed trap, you could tap this little icon on the side right here and report speed check, hazard, or a crash. And if you're driving and if you're spending a lot of reports in a certain spot, you may get a pop-up on your screen confirming if a car crash is clear or still there. So other users who are using Apple CarPlay can also get this valuable feedback. And then if you like to enter 3D view, you can just tap 3D. Some buildings, depending where you're at, but some buildings will actually be three-dimensional, especially if you're like in big cities like San Francisco. But here's a quick preview on how that could look like so you have an idea. So in cities, I find it super useful actually having 3D enabled because you can use actual buildings as little landmarks when you're navigating through traffic. Of course, zoom in, zoom out, free ability to freely roam, that's all standard. Always face north or the direction you're facing can be changed right here. And when navigating, if you tap these arrows right here, this will switch between the single arrow and the lane arrow. I like the lane arrow so I know exactly which lane to turn into. And if we set like a destination and we start a route, you can share your ETA with your friends and family. So long as they're a part of your contacts, you can send them that information so they know exactly when you're arriving. Perfect when you're meeting up somewhere at the same time. But what I want to go ahead and show you is add stops. As now you can add multiple stops to your routes. So if you're stopping at a gas station, you can enter that information and continue the route. Now right here, you do have the capability to verbally have
Proceed to the route.
Siri tell you when you're about to approach a turn. You can also switch it to hear ding noise, like ding, like when you're approaching a turn, it's gonna go ding, ding. Yeah, you should get the picture, or you can have it automatically muted. Now, let's say for example, Siri is too loud with your navigation, you wanna tone her down. Well, if you actually let Siri say something, and as she's verbally talking to you, let's see if I could do that real quick. So as Siri is telling you directions, just rotate the volume knob to your vehicle, and you should be able to adjust the audio if it's too loud or not loud enough.
At the light, use the left 2 feet.
And then of course right here, A to Z, you can see the overview layout of the current driving conditions as you're driving to your destination. And it should automatically go back to the zoom in map layout, or you can just manually tap here to go back. Now this vehicle has wireless CarPlay, But if your car doesn't have one, you can always pick up a dongle, because I do have a car that doesn't have that capability. And these dongles, they cost a little bit under $100, but now I believe they're floating around 50s, solid 50s I've been seeing. They work extremely well. They connect to your existing USB port that you'll use to charge your phone and connect it to CarPlay. It will act like a wireless receiver, because that's what it is, and allows you to have wireless CarPlay capability to your non-wireless CarPlay vehicle. Older than 2020 are all mostly compatible with this. I'll link the one that I like using the most in the video description down below, as well as some other brand ones. So yes, your CarPlay does support offline maps. In order to get it running, you need to first download the offline map on your mobile device, so on your iPhone of course. Now to do this, you need to launch your maps, and then you want to go ahead and tap on your profile that's on the very bottom right here. Then from here, go into offline maps, select new offline map, and you can either search it in or use your current location. And then you have this massive window where you could go in and actually like offline load these type of maps. You could adjust it to your own personal preference and just allow it to calculate, and just tap the download icon. And now whenever you don't have reception, you're driving through a place that has terrible reception, your CarPlay maps will still be running, so you're not left out stranded. Now, when it comes to music, so long as you're using Apple Music, if you like to let others be the DJ without disconnecting your phone, your passengers may see this ability pop up saying, share play with Eduardo Acosta, which is me. And if they don't see this, if you play a song, let's just pick this track real quick, this little person icon with the waves in the background, if you click on here, they could scan this QR code and it will connect to your CarPlay without having to pair their device to the vehicle. And if they don't see that notification on the display, if you like that to be an actual feature to be visible each and every time CarPlay is running, you can always enable it right here. So once you accept, this is basically how it looks like. Connect to the vehicle, let it connect, and they should pop up right here. You can either accept it or decline it if you don't know that person. So we're gonna accept, and now that person who connected can now play music directly to the car. So let's talk about a unique one, and that is Crossfade. I feel like this is a hidden one because not a lot of people know about this. Whenever you transition to another track, you know, it just goes to another track. But there's actually a crossfade feature you can enable that makes it sound like a DJ is playing. So it's a bit hard to explain because you do need to have access to your phone. So here's a little screenshot on how that looks like. You want to go into your iPhone settings once more, go into music, and then scroll down to where you see crossfade right here underneath the EQ settings. Enable this, and you can actually adjust how aggressive you want the crossfade to be. So 4 seconds, 3 seconds in, I'm gonna leave it at 3 seconds. So now whenever you're listening to music and you're at the very last, I can't skim through it. So now whenever your music transitions, it's gonna be a nice little crossfade. I'm unable to show you this because of copyright issues, but try it out on your own first. Now, other important setting I have to tell you guys is your notifications. Sometimes you may be bugged or irritated whenever you see a notification popping up, either from the text messages, your air tags, and etc. If you like to disable this entirely, like prevent notifications from coming in here in the first place, you need to go back on your iPhone and scroll down into notifications. In the notifications tab, scroll all the way down to the notification app that's bugging you the most. So message could be a one as an example, and just scroll down where it says show on CarPlay, disable that. Now your text messages notifications won't show up, but if it's something like WhatsApp, you'll want to go to the WhatsApp app and disable it from there, or to Find My app if you have like air tags and stuff, and scroll down and disable it from here. So that's how you can disable those annoying notifications from popping up to your CarPlay. Now, in the Siri suggestion in the dashboard, if you keep this enabled, you know, I don't know if you experience this, but when having that enabled, if there's a planner, an appointment that's coming up, you'll see like a little planner right here. You could tap on it and GPS will immediately mark that location and tell you the driving conditions, how to arrive, and when you're arriving. If you don't like Siri like notifying you or telling you like, hey, I've noticed this habit, you've been coming to the gym at this time, do you want me to set directions to it? You can have that disabled. So go in settings in the Siri and suggestions and disable that, and now Siri will no longer do that automatically. Now CarPlay unfortunately does not have a dedicated app for weather. The one I typically will use most of the time is My Radar, but there is 3 cool, powerful Siri tools you could do. One, you can ask Siri the weather. What's the weather looking like?
It's currently clear and 68 degrees.
Another powerful tool for Siri is whenever you're listening to music, I'm gonna lower the audio to barely anything. You can always just do this. Play more songs similar to this.
Okay, some music you might like is coming up next on Apple Music.
So if you don't want to search up similar songs, you could just verbally request Siri to do that. Another powerful one, you could ask Siri, show me maps. You can always hop between different apps. So if you're driving, and you could allow Siri to launch certain apps you're looking for in case you're having a hard time. Powerful stuff right there. And there you guys have it. Those are all the cool things you need to know about CarPlay to really utilize it to its full potential. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't yet, as well as get subscribed for more tech videos just like this. My name was Eddie. If for any questions or concerns, feel free to comment down below. I love having a conversation with you guys in the comment section. If you wish to know what third-party apps I like using for CarPlay, I go through my complete list right over there. Thank you so much for watching.